Patrice Bergeron. 20 years with the organization, 19 in the NHL, the 1 year down in Providence during the lockout. He hung him up. A sad day in Boston, but a grateful day. I mean, sad to anytime a guy of that caliber retires or leaves your team, it's sad, but happy to have had him for as long as we did and for what he did. And gee, I mean, you're much younger than me. I mean, you essentially grew up with this guy as you're Bruin, and you probably took it harder than anybody in the crew.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I always say, like with Tom Brady, right? Tom Brady won his first Super Bowl in New England when I was 7 years old. So all I've really ever known in my life was winning football. With Patrice Bergeron, it's like all I've ever known is having like a reliable, unbelievable hockey player as my number one center on my team basically my whole life. So yeah, it was definitely tough. And one thing I think about is, so my dad had season tickets my whole life for the Boston Bruins. And when I was younger, he moved them up to the balcony around 2004, 2005. And his reasoning at the time was, I want you to watch this Bergeron guy. I want you to watch him every single shift. Realistically, he probably just didn't want to pay the price for the lower bowl. And he just told like a 10-year-old Mike Cornell, hey, I'm doing this so you can learn from Patrice Bergeron. But every game I'd go to, it was kind of like, hey, ISO this guy, watch what he does. And it was always, he plays the game the right way. He plays the game exactly how it's supposed to be played. So yeah, man, it sucks. It really sucks. I've made numerous videos. I've said it on this show. I'm not worried about the Bruins next season. I think Bergeron's coming back. Bergeron, Zacha, Coyle down the middle. Now this kind of changes everything. I'm pretty worried heading into next season. There's a clear gaping hole at the 1C position. But congrats to Bergie. Congrats to his entire family. I think an unbelievable career. Top two Bruin all time, in my opinion. Bobby Orr being one, Patrice Bergeron being right behind him at two. He got that cup in 2011. Triple gold club member, won the World Junior, won the gold medal at the Olympics, and then won the Stanley Cup. So there's really not much more you can say about him. Best defensive forward of all time, and that they should rename the Selke after him. So it sucks. I'm very sad, but kind of one of those things. Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened.
Exactly. Mal Merle's not necessarily a Bruins guy. What was your take on it? Just his whole career, his whole legacy as a guy who didn't grow up around here.
Yeah, I mean, I become an adopted Bruins fan just through my brother and being friends with you guys and the Barstool watch parties. And it's not going to be the same. You turn on the game, he's out there. He's out there. And as a pro or as a coach, you do want to watch him. And like your dad was right, you should have watched everything he did. And now that we're in this business and we got the interviews with the guys that have played with him, you heard how much of a guy he was in the locker room and away from the ice, where we should all learn from him even more that way than we did on the ice, how he respected everybody. He took care of the rookies. You weren't a rookie. You were part of the team, which was a lot different than most teams back 20 years ago when he first came in. And I never really got to play against him in the NHL. I didn't get out. He wasn't trying to shut down my line ever, and I wasn't allowed out against his line. But in the AHL, I was, and I always remember this. This was when he was in the AHL in Providence. I had him lined up. I'm like, this guy's not looking. He played in the NHL the year before, so everybody knew who he was. But I got this guy lined up. He wasn't Patrice Bergeron yet, I got this guy lined up. He doesn't see me coming. I go to hit him. Little did I know he did see me coming, and it was the first cold shoulder I ever got when the guy pretends he's not looking. Boom, right in my chest, knocked me down, wind out of me from a reverse hit, and I was like, "Ooh, this guy's going to be a serious player." I knew right then, and obviously went on, had a great career. And gee, I agree with you, and I think I saw it in your blog, RA, about changing the Selke to him.
And, you look at the history, and, Frank Selke, it's no disrespect to him. He was a general manager, Hall of Fame general manager, but he didn't play the game. There was certainly nothing to do with, being a defensive forward with him. And that was the day they were naming all these awards after general managers and owners, and, a lot of, cronyism was going on. So, I don't know. The guy won 6 of them. I think he's gotten something like 42% of all the votes going back to, 2011. There's just so many outrageous stats. So, I mean, if they do, it would be a hell of a gesture. And our buddy Singsy, he was talking about the internet the other day, about naming maybe doing with this, not just that award, with a bunch of them, maybe modernize them. These names are going back 80, 100 years, some cases. A lot of new fans can't relate to it, don't know what it is. I think, you can maybe modernize the awards in some way.
Also, all right, what are your thoughts, though? What are your overall thoughts on him leaving, the Bruins' future next year, like, his legacy, everything?
His legacy is, I mean, like you just said, it's up there among the best in the Bruins' history. I mean, I know people say you could put Espo here, you could put Bork here, but, he played his whole career here, 19 full seasons here, 20 with the organization. It's a gaping hole, man. I mean, we're not going to realize how bad it was until we see the Bruins this year, and he's no longer in the lineup. Obviously, his 37 is going to be in the rafters, I would imagine, sometime next season, unless they're going to wait a little bit longer. And the next stop after that will be the Hall of Fame in 3 years. He should be a first balloter. But just the man on the team, the way he kind of calibrated that whole locker room culture, him and Chara together. I saw the quote from McAvoy said, like, we're going to try to take what you built here and keep it going, like kind of keeping that friendly locker room, just having respect for everybody in the team, everybody in the building. I think that's one of his legacies, of course, to go with the on ice legacy. And just one of the best athletes in our lifetime. There's no doubt about that. A first class human being. I mean, we hear a lot of shit on the side about guys. We obviously don't talk about in the show. Or players podcast. We're not going to throw anyone on the bus. I've never heard a bad word about the guy. I've never heard like really anything negative about him. So I mean, he's just I would say perfect human being. None of us are perfect, but I mean, we've never heard anything negative about the guy. And also, the quotes from Sid and Sully that the Pittsburgh Penguins Twitter feed put out, and Butch Cassidy. And I think that's testament to how well he was thought of. And I even Sid even called him among one of the greats. So yeah, it's a huge legacy he leaves behind. But it's another Hall of Fame. I'm so glad he got the 1 cup. Wish he got 2 because that's sort of the standard in Bruins history. The big bad Bruins, Bob Ure. He won 2 cups. If he could have got us that second one, he would have been right on that legacy, that pedestal with all those guys. But even so, he got the 1. He did a hell of a job here, and sucks to see him go. But he did a terrific job here. So actually, Merles, you just mentioned that season he played in Providence.
It's so weird for me, RA, because this is like the last of my childhood fandom, right? Like I've all the players I was like a fan, like a true fan of, like I would like wait outside the arena for their autograph at 10, 13 years old. Like they're all gone now. So it's weird for me. Like even just thinking about, I'll always be a fan of the Boston Bruins, but there's just something it's just different now. And it feels different to be a Bruins fan, and not to take away anything from the team. I love this team so much, but yeah, like that youth, the childhood part of me is now gone. And one more thing about, there's two ways I like to think of Patrice Bergeron. And one, like how great he was off the ice. You always hear about the guys talking about him off the ice. And I think it's really funny because you don't hear many like crazy Bergeron stories, how outgoing he was. And I think that's because there's a respect factor there. I still think Bergeron was getting in the mix with all the boys. And I heard a funny story on Missing Curfew. Jimmy Hayes, RIP, he told it. And he said that, one night they were all at the club and they're waiting for the bottles to come out. And he just can't find Bergeron anywhere. And he's looking around. And then this guy comes and he's got like a big mask on and he's like dancing with the bottles, like dressed up as an alien. The guy pops the head off, and it's Patrice Bergeron. So it's just cool stories like that. And then you think about even Bergeron playing with the punctured lung in 2013, like just playing through all the injuries he did, coming back from those awful concussions. It's been like there's been a lot of highs and lows in his career, and it's been amazing to watch.
Yeah, Merles, that season, Brendan Walsh brought him to the Boston Marathon on Marathon Monday 2005 because they weren't playing. He was, I think, 19. And we, like you said, we had already seen him rookie year, and I was, Marathon Monday. Needless to say how I was feeling that day. And we were like kind of sitting there. There's all the, kids from Southie, Dorchester, Charlestown hanging out boozing, and this new Bruin shows up at Walshy, and I was like bundled, like telling him like he had to show Joe Thornton, he had to lead the way because Joe Thornton, obviously get traded not long after that. But I was like, bud, you got to show him the way, show him how to play, play with heart, whatever. He's looking at me like who's this goofball, and. Well, he ended up getting the cup, so I guess he listens.
I got one question for both of you as Bruins guys. Where will we see Bergeron next? What's more likely? We're going to see him 1 on a Chiclets interview, 2 part of a NHL coaching staff, 3 part of an NHL management team, or 4 pull your boy Tom Brady and make a return.
I personally think a Chiclets interview comes before any of this. I think there's always been talks of Bergeron will come on after once he retires. And I just think from everything I've heard about this guy, the one reason he retired was he wanted to spend time with his family. So I just don't see him jumping into a coaching role at least that quick, because I feel like as a coaching role, it's a lot of hours, it's a lot of time, it's a lot of energy. I could see him being like a Stevie Y, being in the front office just because he's a hockey lifer. But I don't know, RA, I don't know what you think, but I don't see him. I don't think we'll see him much for the next year. I think he's going to go spend some time with his family.
I agree on that, G. That I don't see him going to work anytime soon. Just enjoy retirement for a little bit. He's got the little ones at home, and they're
$96 million in career earnings.
He's got to come back.
Dude, 96 mil, dude. And dude, how many millions he left? I mean, tens of millions on the table. If money was his only aim, he could have made a lot more. But I don't think he really gives much of a shit about that personally. And I guess by default, Chiclets would probably be first because we'd have a whole year or so to get him. But yeah, I think he probably wouldn't work for another team. I would imagine the Bruins say, hey, whenever you're ready, give us a call. And, if there's not a position open, they'll make one up for him. I mean, he's a guy who has so much wealth of knowledge of the game, whatever he wanted to do. If that's even what he wants to do, I don't even know if he has designs on working in the front office. But if he does, the Bruins would be, certainly make way for him. But yeah, I think he's just going to relax, enjoy retirement for a little bit, and hopefully see him around the neighborhood a little bit. Maybe he's visiting his old teammate across the street. Maybe I'll bump into him.
I wouldn't be surprised, though, if you do see him around the Bruins rink a lot. When they film that Behind the B series, which is kind of like a reality show TV series following the Bruins. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if you see him after some games in the locker room, skating with them at practice here or there. I don't think he's definitely. I don't think he'll be away from the team 100%, but I don't think he'll be working 40 hours a week.
Yeah, no. And I don't think we're going to see a Tom Brady. It just doesn't strike me as the type of guy that would do that. I mean, it's something he's been mulling over for a long time. I think, apparently he knew for a while, and the team knew for a while, because they had breakup day. That's when they filmed all their video clips for the video that the Bruins rolled out when he retired. Because Ty Anderson, the great reporter, great beat reporter here in Boston, he recognized, they had all those clothes on at breakup day way back in May. So that's how you keep a secret, man. To tell 23 guys in the NHL. I mean, the NHL, a lot of gossip, a lot of sewing circles amongst the NHL guys talking, and for them to keep their mouth shut.
But don't you think I feel like they could have recorded those last year as well, and been like, hey, let's record these as a backup because Bergeron could retire. You know what I mean?
They may well have, but I don't. I mean, the fact that they knew for months. This is what they got knocked out. May? I mean, for 2 months. The idea that a secret, again, we talk to guys. The NHL players love to gossip, as do we. Just the fact that it didn't get out to media, unless that's
why I don't think the decision was made, RA, until recently.
Okay.
I think they filmed those videos ahead of time as a precautionary thing, and I think this decision was made recently because we've seen Bruins players out. We've talked to Bruins players. You're telling me after a couple beers they're not going to fucking tell us Bergeron's fucking leaving?
Well, hey, they might have told us in Nashville, and all of us forgot.
I probably did. They probably did.
I think that, that's what I'm saying. No, because that's such a testament to how much respect they had for this guy that they did keep it a secret. They didn't say anything because it was Patrice Bergeron. They kept their fucking mouth shut. So either way, we'll never know. And like I said, sad he's gone. Happy we got to enjoy it.